So I've been watching most of the Fever's games. Oh, not most. I've watched all of the Indiana Fever's games right now. Heck, I have to watch all these games to make all these videos about the Fever. And rather than being one of those YouTube channels that just decides to talk about, not mention basketball, just decide to go anti-woke and use that, or anti-Caitlin Clark, or either side. It's just all the same difference for me. I'm just going to talk about the basketball. Before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are trying to, we could actually hit 4,500 subscribers today. That would be absolutely insane if we could somehow manage to do that. Really appreciate all the support on the channel recently. But anyway, now let's get on to the video. And I'm going to be completely honest. This isn't a toughness issue. This isn't like this league is like a physical league. Caitlin Clark is going to be hurt, and she's going to be hurt very soon unless something's done to protect her. And by that, I mean, if this was happening to an NBA player, you better believe Adam Silver, or especially David Stern, when he was there, would have all the referees in a meeting being like, you can't let this player be guarded like this. It was like, you can't. Regardless, like in the NBA, it always changed in the playoffs, but not in the regular season. She is getting guarded like Lou Dort guarded Luka. She's getting guarded like an American football player. They're not even trying to play basketball half the time. When she's trying to make cuts, they'll just grab her. They'll just grab her. And regardless of being blitzed, I don't care about that. Like, for the people saying, am I saying just to let them score? No, I'm not. I don't care about the blitz. I don't care about the blitz. Like, she is the most dangerous player in the WNBA with the ball in her hands from deep. I get why the blitzes are coming, especially because her teammates are borderline incompetent. They're terrible. Some of them are fine. Some of them look good at times. And those players on the bench, people said make a difference. Man, I haven't seen Taylor play at the WNBA level, but Grace Berger's not the answer either. But it really is a case of, she's getting hit in the air a lot. And you might be saying, Caitlin Clark's complaining to the refs. Yeah, she's getting hit in the air. Of course you would complain to the refs. Jewel Lloyd, literally in the game, she did what you're meant to do. She kind of jump stopped, kind of nudged her, jump stop bumped her. But when Caitlin Clark didn't get far enough back, she waited until Caitlin Clark moved forward and dropped the shoulder and shoulder barged her onto the ground. And I'm like, first of all, you just can't hit somebody that hard. Second of all, anything can happen when you hit someone that hard, because there's no way she was expecting to be barged like that. And regardless of taking a charge, if you are taking a charge on somebody and you're standing there and they're coming in, you're bracing yourself for the hit. If that player stops right in front of you and hits you as hard as they can with a shoulder and a chest and you go flying, you're not bracing yourself for that. That is a dangerous play. And not only was it not a charge, or it wasn't even called as a charge. They didn't even call it as a charge. The next possession, she gets up, goes to the basket, takes a layup in the air, gets hit hard, hits the deck, no foul. And one at a time she made a layup, she's getting hit in the arm. Players are coming from behind her and hitting her in the arm. And it's like, these are plays where the more you get away with them, the more you do them. None of these plays in isolation are dangerous plays, but these all add up. So every one of these plays has the potential for a player to get hurt. And the problem is that teams are not trying to guard Caitlin Clark without fouling her. They're not. Even the situation when Magbador, she kind of bumped Caitlin Clark on the three-point line. Blatant foul. Did not get called. Hit her again. Did not get called. Hit her a third time. The referee finally blew the third whistle while Caitlin Clark was on her steps. And then while she was on her steps, wrapped Caitlin Clark up. She kind of spun out of trying to be wrapped up. And it's like, okay, so it was a foul on the steps. It should have been, because when the referee blew the whistle, was on her steps and then she got wrapped up immediately afterwards. What is that? That is probably score good, something else, flagrant, and a shot, just something. But no, they retroactively said, nah, sorry, the foul was on the floor a second and a half earlier, which we didn't blow the whistle. And because you didn't blow the whistle, you allowed Magbador to foul her again, foul her a third time, and then wrap her up and have Caitlin Clark just spin out of it, where anything can happen. Thankfully, all good. She spun into her teammates. Nothing happened. But there's no scenario where if you wrap somebody up in a like she was wrapped up in a way without Magpador like doing it in a way to like cushion her fall. She just got wrapped up, went flying. Anything can happen in that scenario. A couple of plays later, she drives in right. She goes up in the air and gets hit in the back and goes flying into the basket. No call. It's just like, it's dangerous play after dangerous play. She's going to get hurt. Like, this isn't a like if she gets hurt. It is a when. It is a when, because every single game she's getting like almost cheap shotted more and more. And like, again, the Christy Sides technical foul. Caitlin Clark was about to be thrown from the game because she got fouled. She got fouled while she was posting up. She was being hacked. And then the ball was in, and when she was trying to catch the ball, she got hit in the arm. And then she was trying to like spin off a fumble. She got fouled on the spin, and then had the ball for a layup and got fouled on the layup. There was between 3 to 4 fouls in that possession. Nothing was called, and Caitlin Clark was going to be thrown from that game. And Christy Sides literally ran onto the floor. And this is the one thing I'll give Christy Sides credit for. She would have stayed silent if Caitlin Clark wasn't going to be thrown. She would have let Caitlin Clark get her technical foul. But Caitlin Clark was this close to be thrown for the game. The referee had the whistle in his mouth, was going to blow her, was going to kick her out. Christy Sides runs onto the floor in between the ref and Caitlin Clark and starts screaming at the ref. That is the best thing Christy Sides has done all year. That is defending her player. But I don't know what the Fever are meant to do, because it's gone beyond physicality. It is now putting the player in danger. And again, if this was an NBA player, there would be a meeting. There would be a league-wide meeting being like, look, call. And the worst part is that I'm not like, I don't even think that, I'm not saying give Caitlin Clark preferential treatment. I'm saying give Caitlin Clark, call the game for Caitlin Clark like it's called for everybody else. That's all that has to be done. Everything will be fixed if they called the game for Caitlin Clark like they do for everybody else. But they don't. They allow prison rules when it's Caitlin Clark. Heck, to be honest, for the Fever, like Alia Boston was this close to having her shoulder popped out. Like, all she was like a weird movement and her shoulders popped out. Like, and because the referee decided to wait 2.5 seconds after her arm got wrapped up. And it was only when her arm was now in a position where one bad movement from Magpador has her shoulder popped out that the ref blew the whistle. Like, it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. And then if the Fever player looks at another team, they get fouled. And it's like, is this a conspiracy? What the hell is this? Like, it's been that bad refereed. And it's been, I would say, of the, like, they're 1-8. Of the 9 games the Fever have played, I would say 5 of them, I think have been ref fine. Like, bad refereeing games are fine. The referees are terrible in this league. So there's going to be bad referee games anyway. That's not what I'm complaining about. At the end of the day, there's going to be good referee games, there's going to be bad referee games. But I would say there's 4 games where I think they've been so biased against the Fever, and especially Caitlin Clark, that she's not far off being put in danger. And I think that today's game, teams are going to watch this and say, oh, we need to just rough up Caitlin Clark. They go out into the game with a tactic to rough her up. They get away with it. They go further and further and further and further and further, and the refs won't blow the fouls. Eventually, that's going to lead to a player getting hurt. And if I'm like, I think I'm doing something drastic if I'm the Fever, because like Caitlin Clark's come out and said, like, the way they call it, they don't call it for anyone else, and I fully do agree. I don't think Caitlin Clark is getting like any, like, again, with Angel Reese getting choke slammed. I think if Caitlin Clark got choke slammed like that, it's a common foul. She doesn't get kicked out. I genuinely think Alyssa Thomas, with the way Caitlin Clark's been reffed, if Caitlin Clark got choke slammed, she wouldn't be kicked out. Completely right call with Angel Reese. She should have been suspended. Angel Reese has been hit with some cheap shots too, but nothing to the extent of Caitlin Clark. Like, it's horrible for the game. And look, people want to watch her play basketball. People don't want to watch a player who's just demoralized. She's been demoralized. She's been completely demoralized by this league. She's been completely demoralized by the way the games are being called. She's been completely demoralized by everything. If I'm the Indiana Fever, she's has enough miles on her legs, I'm going to be completely honest. Like, look, I don't know the ins and outs of this. I am basically forcing the WNBA's hand to do something about this. I am benching her on Saturday. What was going to be the most viewed game in the history of the WNBA. Is it in Chicago as well? I need to check to see where this is, because obviously Obviously, you don't want to screw over the fans that are going to be there, but I genuinely think that it's no, it's in Indiana. Do you want to screw over your home fans? Now that's the question. But like, I would consider it just for the rest of the season. If you're at Indiana Fever for the rest of the season, you're going to be like, okay, if you're not going to protect, if you as a league are not going to protect our best player, we're not going to protect your financial interests as a league. If you're the Indiana Fever owner, you've got Caitlin Clark the rest of the year. You've got Caitlin Clark for every home game. You're making your money. But for that one game, for the sake of everything, because what's going to happen now is the blueprint to guard Caitlin Clark is to hack her for 40 minutes. The refs will not call it. And eventually, with that being the blueprint, someone is going to go too far. And I'm not going to lie, they were very close to going too far today. There were 3 or 4 instances in that game where if something goes slightly different, she could have been hurt. And that was the scariest part about looking at that game. That is that she's not being protected. So that's what I genuinely think. For the sake of the season, if you are the Indiana Fever, you consider just giving the finger to the WNBA and be like, if you're not going to protect us, we're not going to protect your financial interests. We are sitting her for the biggest game of the year. Oh, she's like, you know, that ankle injury from a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it's at her. The ankle injury's at her. Load management, you know, all that. And all the ESPN coverage and everything, it's going to be great for the league and all. But like, how is it going to be great for the league? How is it going to be great for the league? Because the Chicago Sky are going to rough her up. The Angel Reese Caitlin Clark game on ESPN is going to be watching Caitlin Clark get hacked for 4 quarters. Because that's what the referees have been allowed to do. I'd sit her. It's not going to be a bad thing for you guys. And heck, maybe if you're the WNBA, you're thinking, you know what, her not being on the floor is better than having her on the floor, having millions of people trying to watch her play and watch her getting hacked for 4 quarters. Because that's the way they've let the referees call the game. And they need to do something. They need to do something, otherwise all the goodwill they've built up, especially through this one player, is going to go. Maybe they want it to go. Like, I had a conspiracy theory before the year that the WNBA do not want to succeed and they are trying to tank their league. And it's looking like I could be right on that. But something needs to happen, something drastic. And I actually don't think pulling her from this game on Saturday is a bad idea. Because that is the one, like, nothing's going to change. Nothing's changed through 9 games. In fact, the referees are getting more and more lenient on other teams hacking her. And especially they're hacking other players in the team. Then Aaliyah Boston looks at a player the wrong way and she gets 5 fouls. Like, it's pathetic how they're being reffed. But at the same time, clearly talking to refs, clearly these refs don't watch pre-game tape. Clearly they don't know the way she's being defended. Clearly they're cool with prison rules. And because the refs are cool with prison rules, because the league are okay with prison rules, maybe as a team you're like, you know what? Our star asset is Caitlin Clark. We're not cool with prison rules. We're going to sit her for this game. I would say not a bad idea for Indiana.